If you've ever been told to just ground yourself when you were spiraling and it didn't work, this video is for you. Because most people are doing grounding wrong. Not because they're not trying, but because they were taught to ground from the neck up, to think about the floor, to picture roots growing from their feet, to visualize calm, when the whole point of grounding is to get out of the thinking mind and back into your body. And if you have ADHD or you spent years living in your head, or you know that disconnected, floating, half here feeling, visualizing your way to safety isn't necessarily going to land. Your nervous system needs something else. So today we're on G of the A to Z of somatic healing. And if you've been with me through from attunement to felt sense, then this one ties all the previous ones together. Grounding is essentially the anchor. It's what makes the rest of the work possible. And at the end of this video, I'm going to walk you through a 60-second grounding practice you can do every morning this week, especially if you've been feeling unreal, floaty, or like you're watching your life from behind glass. So stay with me. So if you haven't met before, I'm Mercedes. I'm a somatic practitioner and yoga teacher, and I've been doing that for a very long time now. And grounding is something I teach on a regular basis. And I also share from my own experience of struggling to ground from my body and doing it from my head and how I've adapted things. And the idea is that by the end of this video, you'll understand what grounding actually is at a nervous system level and why the way most people teach it doesn't work for ADHD or trauma impacted nervous systems. And you'll have a simple 60-second practice to try every morning this week, particularly if you've been feeling disconnected or floaty. And so what we're going to do quickly is go through what grounding actually is, why people get it wrong, what it looks like when you've lost your ground, and then we'll do the 60-second practice at the end. So let's start with what grounding is. So it's the practice of bringing your awareness into your body and into the present moment through the feet, the breath, or contact with the surface. So it's not about thinking about those things, it's about feeling into the body. It's how the nervous system can orient to safety now. Okay, so it's like a form of orienting to safety. And it's not safety in theory or safety once you've thought about it, but safety in that exact moment. So we feel that safety by coming into our bodies and being present with where we are. And if we're activated or dissociated or we're spiraling, then the nervous system has lost the sense of here. So it's lost its ground, and grounding is the act of returning to here. So when we kind of I'm just trying to think of an example of when like our minds are just whirring, say, and we're stuck in our heads and we're spiraling those mental thought patterns of like what I should have said, what he said, why did the conversation go this way? And we get stuck in that loop of kind of assessing. That's all happening in our heads and we're not actually in our bodies. And so what we need to do is practice that getting into our bodies and feeling how that feels and coming back to the present. And we do that through grounding into our bodies. So it isn't about calming down. It's not about, well, calm down and ground. It's come back home, come back here, come back to your body. And they're actually very different things. So if you think about with previous lessons we've done, attunement is learning to listen. So we listen to our bodies. And embodiment is being in your body. And the felt sense is the body's intelligence, and grounding is the anchor that makes it safe enough for any of those things to happen. So we come back to our bodies. And without the ground, the body will stay braced. And when we do ground, it allows us to kind of our body to finally exhale, and then to do those things like access the felt sense or access attunement, because we're listening and we're able to connect with our bodies because we grounded into it. And unfortunately, the way grounding is taught, many of us get it slightly wrong because we try to ground from up here. So we do a mind down, that's a top down approach to grounding rather than a bottom up approach. So we visualize roots growing from our feet or imagine ourselves heavy and picture the earth holding us. And that can be good for some nervous systems and it can work. But if you find that you are impacted by trauma or you have an ADHD brain, it may not be the solution because thinking is the problem. And so we're kind of stuck in that thinking mind again. So if your mind is racing, essentially, and you ask the mind to imagine being grounded, it's asking the thing that's spiraling to fix the spiral. It just doesn't work. So we have to kind of use grounding to bypass the thinking mind and go directly to the sensations. So the pressure, the temperature, the texture, your weight, your breath. And these are the languages that the nervous system actually understands. It doesn't understand roots growing from your feet. It understands, or feel the pressure of your feet against the ground. So like press your feet in. How does that feel? How do the soles of your feet feel? So we start to tune into the physical sensations a bit more. And it can actually really shift. So for me, say like if I'm trying to visualize it, I can visualize these wonderful roots, but then I will start going off on this journey of like, oh, I'm in the earth and I can see these roots going, and I'm out of my body then, because now I'm visualizing down into the earth, these roots going down, and what's happening down there. Nothing's happening in my body at all. I have got no idea what's happening in it. But if you say to me, right, feel your feet on the floor, feel the points of contact, feel where the pressure is, feel the sensations of your feet connecting with the floor, that then is a completely different feeling, because now I'm fully in my body and I'm fully thinking about what is happening in my body, and that is grounding me a lot more. So what does it look like when you're not grounded? So when you've lost that. So it could be this floating feeling, like you're not quite in the room and everything feels a bit like, I don't know. And you're not quite in your body and you're not quite anywhere. You're just kind of like floating around. And things can then feel unreal. So it's like you're watching your life happen rather than living it, because you can feel really disconnected with your body. Or you may get that half asleep, half numb feeling, which is not quite tiredness, but it's a little bit of disconnection. So we're not really feeling what's happening in our bodies. And in the mind, you might notice things like spiraling thoughts happening. So we get stuck in a story. And I've had this before, I've got stuck in a loop. And particularly where I've been having a conversation with someone online about something really contentious. And I'm then stuck in this loop of what I should have said. I should have said this and I should have said that and I should have said that. And I'm going round and round a conversation in my head that I really don't need to be stuck in, because my mind is now spiraling. I'm not grounded in my body. And you may also have, when you're ungrounded, reactive emotional responses. And so particularly if you have trauma or ADHD, we can struggle with emotional regulation. And that's because we are not grounding in our bodies. And so we're reacting emotionally. And when we ground, we can sense what's happening a bit more readily and deeply and connect with how we're actually feeling. And so have more understanding of ourselves and of others. And like these are all the different things, ways in which it may show up in our lives. And one of the things that can happen when we're ungrounded is we can have trouble making decisions. So we sort of think about what we want to do, but we can't feel what we want because we're not grounded in our bodies. And then we have trouble being present with the people that are in our lives. So there's lots of different ways in which it can show up and disrupt the way that we're living. And so learning to actually properly ground is a really essential skill. So what we're going to do now is jump into our practice very quickly. So what I'd like to do is just get yourself comfortable, ideally sitting, and put both your feet flat on the floor. And you could, if you want, have a hand pressed firmly into the surface. So I've got a table in front of me. I can press a hand into that and just press the hands down as well. And where your feet are, feel the resistance under your feet. So feel the floor pressing back against your feet. So press down with your feet. Now I can find this quite tricky to do when I press down with my feet on the floor, because I'm trying to press with my feet and then I forget that actually I need to engage all the muscles in my legs. So then I start to feel all that engagement in my legs as well. So if that happens as you're pressing your feet down, become aware of it. Be aware of where the engagement is happening and how that feels for you. And again, if you press your hand down on a surface, feel the resistance from the surface as well. So feel what that feels like. So this is the key to grounding. It's not a one-way action. It's a relationship. It's a relationship between you and the floor. So you press the floor presses back. It's that mutual contact. And that's what tells the nervous system that you're held, because it can feel that physical sensation coming back. So if you're sitting, notice the weight of your body in the chair or the support of that floor under your feet. And let yourself feel held by something. So don't think about being held, feel it. So feel that floor beneath you, feel the chair, feel where your body is connecting with the chair and how you have that support underneath you. So we're just going to take 3 slow breaths, not deep ones. We're not trying to make it as deep as we possibly can. Just 3 breaths in and out. In and out. And keeping your mind on the contact with the floor or the surface beneath you. And inhale and exhale. Now look around the room that you're in slowly and let your eyes find 3 things. So maybe the wall, a window, and an object near you. And this will tell the nervous system that I'm here, this is now, and this is real. And just notice the difference. So tune into your body and notice any difference between now and when you started this practice. Maybe it's small and maybe it's significant, but either way, you've just done the work. That's grounding. So do this every morning before you check your phone, 60 seconds, that's it. And come back here for a reminder to just take you through the process and start to develop that habit of grounding into your body when you wake. So if this resonated with you, please like and subscribe because that helps me reach more people who need to hear this. And if you want to go deeper into nervous system regulation and somatic healing, then come and join my group on School. It's the Somatic Reset Lab. I will put the link in the description. And if you have ADHD and want to go into that more detail, I have a group for that as well, and I'll share the link for that. Other than that, I'll see you soon.